In 53 BC, 10,000 Roman soldiers were captured after one of the worst military disasters in Roman history. They were marched thousands of miles east, and then they basically disappeared. 17 years later, an army from Han China attacked a fortress deep in Central Asia. Waiting for them were around 100 strange soldiers fighting in an unusual formation. Their shields overlapped so tightly that Chinese historians described them as looking like fish scales. Nearly 2,000 years later, one historian looked at that description and said, "Wait a minute, that sounds Roman," which leads to one of the strangest mysteries in ancient history. Did thousands of missing Roman soldiers somehow travel across Asia and end up fighting the Chinese? It sounds ridiculous, but there are just enough clues to make things interesting. Our story starts with a very rich Roman named Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus had money. Crassus had power. What Crassus did not have was enough military glory, which apparently bothered him immensely. So in 53 BC, he marched an enormous Roman army into the Parthian Empire. This was supposed to make him a legend. Technically, it did, just not for the reason he wanted. Near a place called Carrhae, Crassus brought tens of thousands of Roman soldiers against a much smaller Parthian force. Rome's legions were terrifying in close combat. The Parthians had a simple solution. Don't get close. Their horse archers rode around the Roman formations, firing arrow after arrow after arrow. When Roman troops tried to chase them, the horsemen rode away, then turned around and shot them while retreating. Yes, that is where we get the expression, Parthian shot. The Romans packed together behind their shields. Normally, this was a good idea, except the Parthians had brought an enormous supply of arrows. So instead of running out, they just kept shooting. It was basically ancient history's worst game of dodgeball, except everyone had swords, and the balls were arrows. The Romans couldn't catch the horse archers. They couldn't force them into close combat. And when heavily armored Parthian cavalry charged, things got even worse. By the end, roughly 20,000 Romans were dead. Crassus was killed. Around 10,000 escaped, and another 10,000 were captured. And those prisoners are where our mystery begins. Ancient sources say many of the captured Romans were moved far to the east, to Margiana. Today, that's around modern Turkmenistan. For a Roman soldier from Italy, this was basically the ancient world version of being dropped on another planet. Home was thousands of miles away. Between you and Rome were deserts, mountains, hostile kingdoms, and people who probably had absolutely no interest in helping you get back. Some ancient accounts suggest the prisoners settled there, married local women, and possibly served the Parthians. And then, the trail becomes very quiet. Which is important, because 17 years later, something very strange happened even farther east. By 36 BC, the Han Dynasty controlled a huge empire in China. Far to its west, a Xiongnu ruler named Zhizhi had created his own power base in Central Asia. Zhizhi built a fortified settlement near what is now Kazakhstan and started causing problems for surrounding peoples. Han commander Chen Tong decided Zhizhi needed to go. There was only one slight issue. He didn't actually have permission to attack him. So according to the historical account, while his superior Ganyanshu was ill, Chen Tong basically forged the authorization. Imagine your co-worker calling in sick, and when he returns, you've invaded another country. Somehow, Chen Tong assembled a massive force and marched west. Eventually, the Han army reached Zhizhi's fortress. And this is where our missing Romans suddenly come back into the story. Chinese accounts describe roughly 100 defenders outside the fortress, arranged in something translated as a fish scale formation. Men positioned closely together, shields apparently overlapping. Almost 2,000 years later, historian Homer Dubs read that description and noticed something. Roman soldiers were famous for fighting with shields locked tightly together. One famous Roman formation was the testudo, the tortoise. Soldiers packed together with shields protecting the front, sides, and even overhead. From a distance, a tightly packed formation of overlapping shields could look a lot like scales. Dubs started connecting dots. 10,000 Romans disappear in 53 BC. They are moved east. 17 years pass. Chinese soldiers encounter unusual troops fighting behind overlapping shields even farther east. Could some of those captured Romans have been passed from the Parthians to other rulers, eventually becoming mercenaries for Zhizhi? Suddenly, the theory didn't sound completely insane. Imagine being one of those Romans. You were captured thousands of miles from home. You're never seeing Italy again. You have no money, no land, no Roman army. But you do have one extremely marketable skill. You are professionally trained to stab people. Ancient LinkedIn would have been very straightforward. Skills: sword, shield, marching, available immediately. And these mystery soldiers weren't the only clue Dubs used. After Zhizhi was defeated, Dubs argued that some captives may eventually have been connected with a settlement known as Liqian in northwestern China. The name caught his attention because ancient Chinese writers sometimes used similar names when referring to lands in the far west. From there, the story grew. Even today, you can find claims that people living around the region have unusual European-looking features, and therefore must be descendants of Roman legionaries. Case closed? Not even close. Because now we get to the part that makes this mystery much more interesting. There are some serious problems with the Roman theory. Problem number 1. Romans did not own the concept of put shields next to each other. Long before Carrhae, Greek and Macedonian armies had been fighting with close infantry formations across Central Asia. Alexander the Great invaded this entire region centuries earlier. After Alexander died, Greek-influenced kingdoms remained scattered across parts of Central and South Asia. A modern academic study has even proposed that the mysterious soldiers at Zhizhi could have been Greek-style hoplites from Central Asia, which would explain the shield formation, without requiring lost Romans to travel another 1,000 miles east. Problem number 2. We haven't found Roman military equipment at Liqian that proves a legion settled there. No giant pile of Roman helmets, no legionary fortress, no conveniently placed stone tablet reading. Marcus was here. Problem number 3 is even tougher. Scientists tested Y chromosome DNA from modern Lycian residents. If the town really began with a large group of Roman soldiers, you might expect a strong Western paternal genetic signal. But the study found the population was much more closely related to Han Chinese groups. That doesn't prove that no Roman ever reached the region. 2,000 years of migration can make ancestry complicated, but it definitely did not provide the smoking gun Roman legion fans were hoping for. And then there's the biggest problem of all. The Chinese account never actually says, "These men were Romans." It describes the formation. Later, historians made the connection, and fish scales does not automatically mean testudo. So, did a lost Roman legion fight the Han Chinese? We can't say yes. There is no Roman helmet from the battlefield, no Latin inscription identifying the soldiers. No ancient Chinese historian writes that men from Rome were captured there. And most historians today do not treat the Roman connection as established fact. But here's why the story refuses to die. The timeline works. Roman prisoners really were taken east after Carrhae. Some really may have served the Parthians. The Battle of Zhizhi really happened only 17 years later. And Chinese records really do describe an unusual formation that caught Dubs' attention. So it is possible that a handful of men who once fought under Rome eventually traveled farther east. We simply can't prove that the soldiers at Zhizhi were them. And honestly, the real history may be even more interesting than the legend, because Rome and Han China weren't living in two completely separate worlds. Between them stretched an enormous network of Greeks, Persians, Parthians, Sogdians, nomads, merchants, prisoners, mercenaries, and travelers. Silk moved west. Glass moved east. Ideas moved in both directions. And sometimes, people moved too. A Roman didn't need to march directly from Rome to China for the two worlds to become connected. One prisoner could be moved east, then hired by another ruler, then move again, then fight for someone else. Until eventually, a man born near the Mediterranean could find himself standing behind a shield in Central Asia, watching 40,000 soldiers from Han China approaching his fortress. Was that what happened at Zhizhi? Maybe. Probably not exactly the way the legend tells it. But until someone finds a Roman sword, helmet, inscription, or skeleton that can actually prove it, the case stays open. And somewhere in history, 10,000 Roman prisoners are still waiting to tell us where they went. So what do you think? Lost Roman legion? Greek mercenaries? Or just a really good historical coincidence?